point or?
And you are live.
Aloha snack bar, everyone. It's the one and only the gorilla in the Econo Mist. Coming to you live on another Rogue Money Radio with my main man, the denizen of the airways, the uncanny producer, the one, my sidekick. He is the one and only CJ. And we have tonight our very own special guest. And we're so excited to have him back on, especially with all the moves that have been happening in the market. Look, we've been saying it for some time. Dow 29,000. Here we go. We're seeing Bitcoin on the move. We're seeing so many things happen. So we have none other than Tone Vays. Tone, welcome, man. I'm glad to have you back on, sir.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me back on again, guys. Looking forward to it.
It's exciting to have you on, man. So where do you want to take it, man? I yield the platform to you. Whatever you want to go, whichever direction you want to lead, go right ahead, brother.
Oh man, I mean the price has just gone insane.
Oh my God, tell me about it.
Wow, I think last time I was on, we weren't even in the 750 range, and that was a month and a half ago, maybe.
We were in cruising around the 600, I think it was. Around
Yeah,
600 bucks, yeah.
Oh man, so this rally came just short of my expectation, just a tad bit short. I was really looking forward to 1200, and it did hit 1200 in China. But and look, China drove a lot of this up, and China drove a lot of this down.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is good and bad. I mean, it was nice seeing Bitcoin having a run up like that. Now, I am rarely short-term bullish Bitcoin. I always think it's generally overpriced. Also, I like having Bitcoin low because I want to accumulate as much Bitcoin as I can. And I know Bitcoin's going to go up in the long run, and the slower it does it, it gives us a chance to accumulate it. I'm not a day trader of Bitcoin, but I was bullish Bitcoin. I was basically saying once we break above 760, 760 was my mark. Once we go above 760, it's open air all the way back to all-time highs. And once we broke above 760, it only took 3 weeks to get us there. We broke 1150 on most U.S. Denominated exchanges, and then China comes out with their currency, the opposite of devaluation, right? China has been devaluating their currency, and they came out and took it in the other direction, and people blow these things out of proportion.
Yeah.
There is just, Chinese currency, I keep comparing it to the euro. The euro is down 25% in a year and a half. The euro is down 40% in the last 8 years. Meanwhile, the Chinese currency is flat in the last 8 years. It was up 10% at one point in the last 10 years. And over the last year, it's come back down 10% to now be the same price the Chinese currency was 8 years ago. Meanwhile, the euro is down 35%, and everyone keeps complaining about the Chinese yuan. Yes, it's a planned economy. That China still has control over that economy. They can do with their exchange rate anything they like. And meanwhile, everyone around the world is, giving them a hard time about it. Look, it's their currency. The Federal Reserve does whatever it is that they want to do. The U.S. government can print whatever money they want to print. Why is China? Why is everyone blaming China? I mean, between China and Russia, I mean, that's who they blame. Everyone blames China for one thing, and if it's not China, then it's Russia. Blame Russia. Russia hacks the DNC, and China is destroying the world economy. It's ridiculous. I mean, you just you look in the mirror sometimes. It's right. Not always someone else's fault.
Right. I agree with you, Tone. I mean, this is what the broke Atlanticists have left. This is it. In 2016, we've seen their media empires destroyed. I mean, right here in New York, we have, the New York Times. They're renting out 8 floors of their headquarters because they just can't make ends meet. They're down 96% in advertising loss, in advertising revenue. They have lost, their audiences are shrinking. So they have nothing left to do than be the very propagators of the fake news that they claim to be fighting. They've become the purveyors of fake news. Russian hacks. China's destroying this. I mean, it's preposterous, man. It really is.
I agree. And look, but you know what? now that I have such appreciation for things I never did before because of Bitcoin. I started writing in the Bitcoin space, and I learned that investigative reporting is not only difficult, it's completely unrewarding. Doing
1,000.
investigative reporting, there is almost no reward for it. It's grossly underpaid for the amount of work that you do to be an investigative reporter. And most of the time, you're breaking stories. They're like you're exposing scams or you're exposing the government. And all you're doing is putting your life in jeopardy, whether it's financially, whether it's civilly, in one way or another. It's really, really difficult. The amount of crap you get for doing investigative reporting just doesn't pay. And most of these news outlets, whether it's Bitcoin media, traditional media, it doesn't matter. This is why you're left with, independent journalists doing all this investigative reporting out of the goodness of their heart, barely getting paid for it. And a lot of it is going to be all over the place. A lot of it's going to be conspiracy theory because you're not compensating the people that can do it right enough for investigative journalism. It's very difficult.
Yeah, absolutely correct, man. It's not even rewarding. What is rewarding is to be a lackey, to toe the party line, to do what the establishment says. Then you'll be richly rewarded. You'll get a $20 million a year contract like Megan Kelly. I mean, what talent does this woman possibly have? I mean, what talent? So they primp her hair, they splash some makeup on her, put her in a dress, and put her behind a glass desk, and they put her on prime time, and then her ratings are up. I mean, this is
She's like a weatherman, right? Or
that's
like
yeah, she was a weather girl. I
right, weather
mean,
girl.
it's unreal. I mean, right there, meteorology is another field that they get wrong so many times. And now this is what it's come down to: real investigative journalism. You're absolutely right. What happened to the days of the John Pilgers? The Greg Palast of the world who went out and wrote exposés and broke stories. I mean, what happened to the real muckrakers, man? It's over with. It's us. It's the new media. We're the muckrakers now, Tone.
I know, but again, like even within us, it's like
Yeah,
people have their own agendas left and right,
you're
and
right.
anyway, we'll see. Well, back to the price for a second, right? So we went up. The Chinese exchanges were going crazy. People got overexcited, and we took a bit of a dive. You know what? I don't think this is the end. As long as we stay above 760, everything is fine. I have no problem with it as long as it stays above 760. Once it goes below 760, I might get worried a little bit. But you know what? Hey, it's a chance to buy it on the dip. I think we're going to have a great 6 months. I think this is a nice bullish run. The war on cash is picking up. I've been talking about this for years in my presentations, and the world is finally starting to see it. What India did, what Venezuela did, and those countries aren't even all that relevant globally, but it's the talk in Australia and Europe. Europe will definitely eliminate the 500 note and probably the 100 in the near future. Scandinavian companies wants to completely eliminate cash within the next 3 to 4 years. Switzerland's not far behind. US is now rumbling about eliminating the $100 bill, though that's going to be almost impossible since most of them are outside the country. The world will just go nuts if the US does that. This war on cash is crucial for Bitcoin's utility. I mean, that's its utility, the replacement of street cash when the governments are fighting it so much. And that's because these governments are so broke, they need every dollar of tax revenue. Like literally, they're now mad at like the local bodega shop on the street barely covering their bills. Uh, I mean, I'm a shop owner too. Like I own a brick and mortar. I'm a half owner of it. It's been around for 3 years. It's barely profitable, and people think that oh, you're rich, you own a business. No, I'm barely like my employees make more than me, right?
Yeah.
And I pay them just above minimum wage, and they make more than me. Like, but it's just if I sell the business now, I'll lose money. So it kind of keeps going. Hopefully, it'll get better over time. But
What
running
kind
a
of business is
small
it, Tone?
business, it's a massage therapy office.
Nice, cool.
And running a small business is difficult. I don't even run it. I'm mostly just an investor. It's my friend who's the massage therapist. He runs it. I'm barely ever there.
Right.
Um, but yeah, no, these things aren't easy. Like, you think business owners are rich? They're not. Most of
No.
them are barely making their bills, even though you come in there, oh, your cheapest product is like, say, $75 an hour. Yeah, but like more than half of that goes to expenses. And if you
Right.
got here from Groupon, that's it. I make no money. Groupon
Right.
takes half. So I'm just doing it to get you as a client later on.
Right.
And then people are saying, "Oh, Bitcoin is so great. It eliminates the 3% credit card fee." You know what? I love the 3% credit card fee
Why do you
because
love it?
it means someone's going to come into my shop and pay
Yeah.
us for a $60 product. I'll pay them 3% because Groupon takes 33%, and most of the clients are coming through Groupon or Living Social or all these other sites where I have to give like a 20 to a 30% discount to drive in the business. The last thing I care about is a 3% credit card fee.
Right, exactly, exactly. You know what was funny, man? With all the crazy stuff that's happening in India with Prime Minister Modi being the demagogue that he is. What was funny is, did you see that they were debuting their new digital payment system? Did you see that?
Oh God, I have not seen that, but I can
Oh
only
man,
imagine it's going to
I
be
was
a
laughing my head.
disaster.
It's going to be an absolute disaster. I was laughing my head off, Tone. I said this is a country where 50% of it is basically the backwater. Okay, and the other half, which is you can count on maybe on one hand how many cities in India are actually developed, and then they're coming out with this mobile payment system. It's all peer to peer digital. How is that going to work? They don't have the infrastructure. Most places, I've traveled quite a bit in Southeast Asia, and India is one of those places where, up until recently, electricity was a very unreliable thing. Power outages were a common thing. I'm sitting there having a meeting, or I'm out there, on a job site or something like that, and all of a sudden power goes out, and I'm like, "What happened? This is normal, sir. This is completely normal. The power goes out every so often, then it will come back." And I'm like, "Really? Okay. What's that sound? Why are these animals around me?" Oh man, it's hilarious. But here they are, these convoluted establishment governmental type authority figures who think they know what's best for everyone, and they're rolling out a digital payment system. I just thought I'd share that with you, man, because I found that absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, no, look, I know that a lot of our call centers are over there, and there are pockets in India that are
Yeah.
technically savvy, but what? 2% of the population, 5% of the population is that
Exactly.
technically savvy? I mean, it's a very poor country. You
Right.
gotta go with the averages here. I mean, even Scandinavian countries where everyone has a cell phone, even they have like a 3-year window to go fully digital. And in their society, 90% of it is already fully digital. No,
Right.
this is crazy. I mean, I hate conspiracy theories, but Cyprus and maybe Greece were like trial runs of how the population uh, can react when you like shut their banks down and take their money. So I don't know. Maybe India is one of those global trial runs to see how the population reacts to a complete overhaul of removing cash from a system that's like 90% cash. I mean, talk about a terrible trial run. I mean, you really do want to go with like a Scandinavian country or
Right.
Luxembourg or something, or hell, even a Hong Kong or a Singapore.
Right. Exactly. But they go to the most heavily cash dependent countries because they happen to be the most unbanked.
Right. And like, look, I'm sorry, how much illicit activity can possibly be going on with all that cash in India? I I I just can't picture, like drug pins working out of India.
No, it's hey Krupal, come here. I want to pay you in cash for that mango. I mean, come on, man.
Like what? It's like I don't understand what illicit activities they're trying to do other than gold trading. I mean, I think gold's now slowly becoming illegal in India, which is ridiculous because that's
So
all they do at their weddings, right?
that's
But
it.
as far as like traditional illicit activity, like what are they? I mean, what are they trying to stop? I haven't been to India, but somehow I just don't picture India as being like a major drug situation.
Right.
And I don't know, prostitution. I don't know. I mean, everything in India is so damn cheap. Like again, what are you trying to prevent here? You're gonna put 90% of your population that has not doing anything illicit through this by doing it? It's insane.
It's absolutely nuts, man. I sit there and I'm just like, I'm going through my litany of, okay, why are they doing this? Is it because ivory smuggling with elephants? No, there is a little bit of that going on, but it's not much to warrant a total cash ban and rolling out digital payments on a country that has zero infrastructure, next to zero. And then I'm then I'm like, is it because they're killing tigers and selling the tiger bones to the Chinese black market? That's not it either. I mean, what could it possibly be? It could be those tiny little diamonds that they have these the kids working in the sweatshops, playing around with. It makes no sense. The only thing that makes sense and fits, I believe, and it's the only thing that fits here, Tone. It may be, it may not be, but it's the only thing that makes sense to me. This is being watched by a lot of very influential people in areas of power to see how a transition from a cash based, pretty much unbanked society to a digital platform, that they're attempting. Because the whole thing is this: look, they're threatened by Bitcoin. So I think this is a way for a lot of these governments trying to get ahead of the curve. I mean, look at their failed attempts on Bitcoin. I think you touched base on Goldman Sachs and their ridiculous paper that they wrote on the blockchain. You want to comment on that? I mean, how ridiculous?
Oh no, it's crazy. I don't think they're a threat. If this this is the complete opposite approach. If they are threatened by Bitcoin, this is the opposite of what you want to do. This is what's going to drive people to Bitcoin. If you're threatened by Bitcoin, start rethinking what you consider illegal and legal, and why the hell is money laundering even a crime? You want to stop Bitcoin, eliminate money laundering laws. Treat
Right.
money as a person's property, and Bitcoin's gone.
Yep.
But
exactly right.
on your other point, yeah, the animal thing, yeah, that would kind of bother me. I don't know how prevalent that is, but anytime someone brings up the diamond argument, that frustrates me. My answer to the diamond argument, then go blame women. Why are they fascinated by shiny rocks?
Exactly, and it's made of carbon. It's quite abundant. I could take peanut butter, put it in one of those high pressure machines where you can compress it into carbon into the finest molecules, and you can create diamond out of peanut butter. In fact, in Africa, there are kids running around in certain villages kicking diamonds the size of baseballs. It is valuable because De Beers says it's valuable, and then they make us guys save 2 months worth of of salary so we can buy a stupid shiny rock and be like, "Here you go, will you marry me?"
Yeah, no, and here's another interesting part, right? This is how, like everyone like likes to rip on gold and silver, how these markets are manipulated, and I've been arguing with some gold bugs about it. I'm like, no, you know what's manipulated? Diamonds and precious stones, because there's no market for them. There's no futures market. I can't trade diamonds on paper. Maybe that would give it, a nice free market price when anyone can trade the damn thing.
Right, right, exactly, man. It's funny to say the least, man. It's funny to say the least. So let me ask you this, Tone. What's the latest on within the Bitcoin community, as well as the far-reaching official banking community? Because this price move with Bitcoin has caught a lot of people who weren't paying attention off guard and by surprise.
Yeah, I was hoping not to have these kinds of swings anymore, because Bitcoin is just so much more useful in commerce and more popular in commerce today than it was the last time we had these giant swings. And these people that are actually using Bitcoin in commerce, and yes, most of it is for illicit activity, but what's illicit in one country is, perfectly valid in another country. So you really got to take the word illicit activity with a grain of salt, because like in America, buying drugs is illicit. Well, some drugs and some in some places, and prostitution is illicit. But in other countries like Venezuela, buying food is illicit. So Bitcoin is very useful for that. In a place like Amsterdam, where prostitution is legal, why would anybody use Bitcoin? I mean, it's not necessary. But in places where it's illegal, Bitcoin's probably useful. Same thing with drugs. I mean, drugs are legal in Portugal. Why would anyone use Bitcoin for drugs in Portugal? They wouldn't. They will use a credit card. They'll use cash or the euros. But so they wouldn't do it. So that's kind of the dynamic. So for those users of Bitcoin, this price instability is not ideal. So that's not great, but it is putting it back on the radar. It went up, it crashed down. Like I said, China drove it up, China drove it down. As long as we stay above 760, this is a nice bullish trend. And I'm expecting new all-time highs by the summer. Hopefully, maybe we'll hit 2000 by the summer. And then there'll be another correction. Bitcoin in the past, it's fallen 90%, it's fallen 80%, it's falling 60%. You want to try to have these crashes smaller and smaller. If this current crash, we fell from about 1150 on average, and right now we're sitting at around 880 with a low at about 860, 870. So we're looking at maybe a 30% by my math in my head, about 28 to 32% correction. If this is all we get and then we go back to all-time highs, it's better, right? I mean, a 30% fall is better. If we go up to 2000 and then we fall down to, if we fall another 350 points from 2000, now it's a 25% fall. And if this is the path we're heading on, that's great, because then in like 5 to 10 years, it'll be like the stock market, so it'll fall 20%, and it'll be bad. But I don't even think it'll do that. As you want this to become like a more stable currency, and we've seen what currencies do. Like when the Swiss peg broke, that sucker moved like 40%. When the Brexit happened, the pound went all crazy. And we're going to have more of that. I mean, currencies are going to have huge problems. I'm very bullish on the US dollar. I think the US is so far ahead in the stability of its government and the stability of its currency that all those other currencies are just going to continue to devalue against the dollar until China gets its act together. They're pretty much our only competitor.
Yeah. Hello? Tom, could you hear me?
Yeah, hear you fine.
Oh, sorry about that. I thought I thought I dropped off, and Google's been having some issues on Hangouts here and there. We're doing some interviews earlier. But yeah, I mean, when you compare where we are in terms of governmental stability versus much of the world, the only thing that comes close is China in terms of stability. Everybody else, I mean, I look at what? I mean, look at the rest of the BRICS, minus China, and in some regards Russia as well. South Africa is a basket case. Joseph Zuma is, he's doing quite a number over there. India, forget about it. Modi's in demagogue mode. Brazil, forget about it. They just had a coup over there. Well, most likely, I sense Langley fingerprints all over that Michael Temer situation with Dilma Rousseff. All these things that are happening all throughout the world, man. I mean, we got a lot of things that are positive that are going for us. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I'm very bullish on the dollar this year. I'm very bullish on stocks. I'm bullish on Bitcoin. It's going to be a very interesting year, to say the least.
Yeah, no, and look, government stability and currency stability is huge. Is huge. Not canceling your currency, not defaulting on your bonds, not having any coups in your government. I mean, the euro. I mean, who knows who's going to stay, who's going to leave. And you mentioned all those other countries. Government stability is big, and U.S. has that. It's had government stability for a while. I mean, even with Trump coming in. By the way, yeah, you're doing an economic show. I was on my podcast. I got like furious because Deutsche Bank.
Oh, my favorite bank.
Deutsche Bank updated their GDP forecast for U.S. and pre-election and post-election, and they doubled it. Like their projections for the next 3 years of U.S. GDP, pre-election and post-election, literally they doubled it. And I'm like, are you guys kidding me? this is your projection just because Trump got elected, and none of you wanted Trump elected. I mean, that's so frustrating to me. Like,
Yeah.
why couldn't you release this data before the election so that the entire world now doesn't like demonize Trump the way they have? Like, the left is
Exactly.
just all those banks, they were just donating to Hillary. I mean, they would
Yes.
rather own a politician than have a growing U.S. economy. And this is the problem. This is my
You hit the
biggest.
nail on the head. That is so perfectly said, Tone.
That's the problem with our banks. I mean, they got used to bribing. They're bribing. They buy the politicians. The revolving door. They get to go and make their own laws. That's the problem. It's not the fact that if a bank screws up, they should fail. But when they buy off the politicians, they don't fail. And that's the problem that needs to be solved. And hopefully Trump will solve it. All these senators need term limits.
Yep.
And this bribery and buying politicians need to stop. And then, let the Wall Street make their own mistakes or create solutions. They shouldn't be spending all their money buying politicians to then do whatever they want. They should, like, these hedge funds should be able to do whatever they want as long as they face the consequences of when they're wrong. But when they buy off the politicians, they don't have to face those consequences. And that's the problem that I have.
Yeah, and that's when too big to fail becomes too big to jail, and that's a very, very, very dangerous precedent, man.
Right. So and speaking of stability, so there's one thing that the U.S. might lack in stability, and it's not that bad. Like we have political stability, we have currency stability, we have a rule of law. Rule of law is important. You have to know where the law is. Now, the law is always changing, but at least it's fairly stable. So those are the most important things. Now, the thing that isn't as important, which is why the U.S. has been able to manage it, is stability in the tax system. Now with Trump coming in, he will hopefully lower taxes, just like Reagan lowered taxes. But then a Democrat's going to come in 4 to 8 years, and they're going to raise taxes back up. So it becomes very difficult for a business to, build, a manufacturing plan or whatever and project, 10 to 20 years down the line, because their tax expenses might double, or their minimum wage on their, like Walmart, right? Walmart has like 100,000 employees, right? You raise a minimum wage by $1 on those employees, and that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right? If you raise it $1 per hour, that's a lot of money on those employees. And I had this argument with people back in my job. There were a few Democrats working there, and they would always talk about how Walmart employees don't make anything. Look at they can't even shop at Walmart. They can barely shop in their own store. Walmart's the cheapest one. Look at Trader Joe's employees. They do so much better. And I'm like, yeah, have you spoken to a Trader Joe's employee? I wish I had employees like that. They hire people that are good and they pay them more money. Go ask a Walmart employee for help versus the Trader Joe's employee for help. I don't know if you ever seen that dynamic.
Yeah, I did, and I have, man. It's I cringe if I gotta go ask a Walmart employee anything. I'm walking up to them cringing. I'm like, "Excuse me, can you tell me where the batteries are?" I'm just cringing. I'm bracing myself, and they look at you. They look at me like I bothered their day,
I know. And at Trader Joe's, it's like, no, it's okay. Just go back to, putting stuff back on the shelf. You don't have to walk me around the store.
Yeah, dude, you know what it is? I truly believe wearing a Hawaiian shirt makes people feel better. And that's why it works out so well at Trader Joe's. It's the Hawaiian shirt, man. Everybody's in a good mood. Aloha snack bar.
And this is what people have to realize about economics. And guess what? I bet you Trader Joe's employees can't afford to shop at Trader Joe's, but they can afford to shop at Walmart. Just like people working at higher end, it's like, and we're in this job, right? We're making six-figure salaries, and we're building risk analysis software. So I go to so this guy's trying to explain to me how Walmart employees need to make more money because they can't even shop at Walmart, and I'm like, dude, you're making like $150,000 a year or $200,000 a year to build this risk software. The license for this risk software is like $200,000 a year that we charge hedge funds. Can you afford it? You know, can a BMW salesman afford a BMW? Like, name one product that where the employee can afford the product. I mean, that almost never happens.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the point. If you can afford that product, you wouldn't be working on that product. You would be doing something more advanced to buy this product.
Right. I mean, you go to an Apple store. How many Apple employees could buy their iPhone outright? You know, how many Apple employees could buy a 256 gig iPhone 7 Plus Jet Black outright?
Right.
That's like $1,000.
Very, very few. And you know what? I bet you this is the reason why a lot of employees get huge discounts on the products they work for, because they wouldn't be able to afford them otherwise. And a place like Apple can't have their own employees, you know, whip out an Android cell phone in the store and start texting.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on. Let me grab my Google Pixel. 1 second. Oh, wait, that's another competitor. Let me grab out my Samsung Fireball. But, dude, it's true. And, you know, the thing is also that people don't realize, if the Walmart employee, like I saw this heartstring, you know, pulling your heartstring, woe is me documentary on, I think it was on MSLSD, CNBS, one of these shows. I think it was CNBS. And that's CNBC. I just call it CNBS. But CNBS had this thing about Walmart and how horribly they treat their employees. And they're interviewing one guy who goes, "Yeah, I do stocks. I work in the stock room." And then and the reporter's like, "So how many years have you worked in the stock room?" "I've worked in the stock room for 15 years. I make $7.25 an hour, and I want $15 an hour." And I'm like, you don't deserve. If you're in the stock room for 15 years and you haven't developed marketable skills in order for you to move up the corporate ladder in Walmart, because there are plenty of managers and supervisors who are doing quite well. Store managers in Walmart are making 6 figures. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
they deserve it.
Yeah, they deserve it.
Their employees.
Exactly, 1,000%. You got some low grade guy with low skills. Yeah, you flip a burger, dude. That's not worth $15. You want $15? Fine, we'll hire you. We'll make you part time. Then we'll fire the rest of everybody else and hire robots to do the rest. That's it, and that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, so people really got to think about a lot of this. Like, this is basic stuff. I mean, it's just like common sense, but it's fairly basic. But people, I don't know. And now everyone is on. I don't even know how we got on this tangent. Probably my fault. But I'm just saying how all of a sudden now everyone is happy at what the economy will do and how great it will be under Trump. Yet during the election, everyone was saying the complete opposite. This bothers me to no end.
During the election, the economy was going to crash. There was going to be a nuclear war, and Trump will crash the economy. Trump will start a nuclear war with Russia. Trump will prompt the Martians to invade. I mean, you name it, man. It was.
Well, Obama. Dude, listen, Obama's got what, like 12 more days to start that war? So I can't wait till he's out of there.
Oh my God, he has so far to date, Tone.
He's been trying.
He's trying very hard. Except Putin's much smarter than he is. Thank God. Oh yeah. But the funny thing with Obama, I think the latest count, Tone, I think he's dropped so far close to 28,000 bombs. He's the Nobel Peace Prize winner, has dropped 28,000 bombs and bombed 7 countries with drone strikes. Nobel Prize in Peace.
I know.
Unbelievable. Hey, I don't know if you saw this or not, man. Did you hear about China's central bank is issuing warnings against against major Bitcoin exchanges because they're worried about capital flight and all this other stuff? Did you see that news?
Yeah, I saw that news. I mean, it's what hit me by surprise, and I think this may have something to do with the extra, oomph to the downside, is that these Chinese exchanges have now come out and said they've have like regular meetings with PBOC in China with their central bank, like, so they're in communication with them, so they know all about it. The thing is, I don't think it's I don't know if these Chinese exchanges KYC. They probably do, because how are you going to move your money into this exchange? You still got to use a Chinese bank. that's not how you would really do capital flight. And there is some capital flight, and I know the Chinese know that there is capital flight. I mean, you can walk with 50,000 yuan over the border, right into like Shenzhen and into Hong Kong. I mean, there is other ways to move big money, and I don't know where this is headed. I mean, the Chinese government may shut down these exchanges anytime they like.
Yeah.
So we'll see, and that would cause some havoc. But I have a different problem with those exchanges, not just their coziness with government. If they really cared about Bitcoin stability and price, these
Mhm.
exchanges would do two things. First of all, they would stop doing fake volume and they would only do real volume. Let's
Right.
start there, right? I mean, I keep reading these articles in the media. It's like, oh, China has like 80, 90% of the trading value. No, it doesn't. That's ridiculous.
Right.
Um, and because no one has that much Bitcoin. But
No.
one of the reasons why their volumes are out of control is because most of these exchanges have no fees on their trading. So you can like set up a bot and you can like micro trade back and forth. And the exchange can even do it themselves. Though if they were charging fees, they can still do it themselves and pay the fee to themselves. It doesn't cost them anything. But at least might be noticeable. So my problem with the Chinese exchanges is the zero fee trading, which allows bot trading to run wild, and the fake volumes. Though BTC China is probably legit volume, but I'm not sure about the rest. So my problem with those exchanges is that, and I think if they started doing legitimate trade volume and eliminated zero fee trading, just put it some fee. It doesn't have to be big, like some fee. I think it would really cut down on speculative trading, and it would go a long way to helping the stability of Bitcoin.
Yeah, that would be great. And also some good news on the front with Coinbase, which I use Coinbase. I've used them for a while. I like it because it's really simple and easy. And I stopped because I was hearing all the stuff that's happening with Coinbase and the IRS, this, that, and the other. I'm like, oh man, here we go. This just in, man. I don't know if you saw this or not, but a new motion defends the request to stop the IRS summons for Coinbase's customer info. So that's really good.
Uh,
That's a little victory right there.
Wait, what summons from where? From who?
Uh, the IRS was trying to go after Coinbase
No,
to
no,
have Coinbase.
I know that part, but what?
A court. There was a court order, a new motion from the court where I think it's in the Southern District Court I think it's in Southern District Court of New York, where they moved to defend Coinbase's right to prevent the IRS from summoning the customer information and having Coinbase hand over their customer data to the IRS. Again, on this whole thing of we're
Oh
here
yeah,
to stop
no,
money
no.
laundering.
That they're gonna lose in a higher court. That's gonna get appealed by the IRS. It'll go to a federal court, and it'll be all over. It'll be
Yeah, I
look.
agree with you, man.
Look, government's biggest problem, or government's biggest problem with us, the people, is money. It's always
Right,
money. It's not religion. It's not race. It's none of those things. It's always money. It's
correct.
historically been money. Whether it's the king has found a new religion, and the reason he found a new religion is because the previous religion has gotten rich with all their donations and people believing them, that he has to now sack the temples of the current religion because the king's broke and the king needs more money. So he has found the light and has joined the new religion.
Right.
um, Now,
Well, religion is nothing more than economics applied to politics. That's all it is.
right. So to them, it's all about money, and the IRS is their biggest friend to the
Hmm.
government, and they will do everything to watch what we're doing. I mean, I don't. Anytime there is a provision, it's like they can blame terrorism, they can blame child porn, they can blame it. They can wrap it up in anything they like to present to the public, but when you dig down deep, it always comes down to money. How can
Right.
they get more money from people, because it's always about money.
Yep. Absolutely correct, man.
So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and I saw this coming. The very first, I went back to my blog and I looked at the very first article I ever wrote. like ever.
Mhm.
Before anyone knew who Tone Vays was. I
Mhm.
started my blog, Liberty Life Trail, and the first article I wrote was about the IRS issuing their ruling in 2014 of how they're treating Bitcoin. And in that article, I said, please, I mean, no one knew who I was, but I was saying, you cannot use Bitcoin in connection with your government identity. You're done. The
Right.
IRS is coming. And after this happened to Coinbase, I'm like, well, yeah, I expected this. That's why I advised everyone not to use them. And I think the IRS is within their legal right to request this John Doe subpoena, because with the banks just showing it to them, right? It's like a whole backup. Like all they have to do is call up a bank and they can look at anybody's history.
Right.
So how's Coinbase any different? All they want, what I said was, I'm surprised Coinbase didn't have like a back door to the IRS to begin with, but that's because Bitcoin was too new. Going forward, they probably will. Look, I'm sorry, the IRS has the right to this data. This is what people don't understand. They think that their rights are being violated. Your rights are not being violated. You are trading. You're buying Bitcoin on Coinbase. Coinbase is a KYC'd, regulated bank of
Right.
Bitcoin. The IRS has the jurisdiction and the right to see your money. I don't understand why people are upset at either Coinbase or anyone. This is what happens when you buy Bitcoin and sell Bitcoin at a 1% over spot. And people were making fun of me. Oh, Tone, why are you paying 10% over spot on the street? They're like, oh, Tone, you don't use Purse.io? You can save 20% on all your Amazon purchases. And my answer was, that's okay, because I know the headache I'm going to have if I get the IRS call. I'll pass. I'll pass on all
Mhm.
that, right? So you had the advantage of buying and selling Bitcoin with 1% over the rest of us that had to pay 10% plus and put our lives in danger to buy it on the street. Depends how you buy it, of course. And so yeah, I mean, look, there's nothing free, right? I mean, you will pay for for that advantage that you thought you had of buying it for 1%, and this is how you're going to pay for it. You may get a call from the IRS.
Yeah. Let me
It
ask you
all
this:
evens out.
what do you think is the best way? I mean, I get this question all the time. V, is there an alternative to Coinbase? Is there any other way I can get Coinbase? Get Bitcoin without using Coinbase. I mean, what are some of your suggestions, man? Because this is what a lot of people have. Like the average lay person on the street, this is the common concern: is how do I get Bitcoin? What's the easiest way to do it? If I have a smartphone, if I have a computer, what's the simplest way of doing it? Um, Go ahead, Tone.
The simplest way of doing it, again, is to really local Bitcoins is still active.
Hmm.
You want to find someone and buy it from them in cash. You want to do it in small amounts. You want to build a relationship with a few people that will sell them to you. You always want to do it in small amounts, because anything over $3,000 can be considered an illicit transaction. I know everyone thinks it's $10,000, but if you go back to the Patriot Act, it's been lowered to $3,000.
Yes.
So,
So soon it's gonna be $500.
yeah, yeah, hell,
Oh
I
man.
remember, and this happened to disappear. Louisiana passed a law saying that you can't sell secondhand goods for cash. So if you're having like a yard sale in Louisiana, you better not sell your, kid's bicycle for that $50 in cash. Better get a check. Um,
Wow.
but you're right, it is going that way. So that's one way to do it, and I know it's not ideal. People say, well, where is the safest place to do it? And I always tell them the safest place to buy your Bitcoin in cash is in the lobby of a bank.
In a lobby of a bank?
Yeah, it's the safest place you can go and do a cash transaction for your Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah. Got it. Okay, so you and the Bitcoin dealer would meet at a lobby in a bank and
Right.
then do the exchange right there with your smartphones or something, right?
Right, with your smartphones, and then you again, right? This is if you don't know the dealer, right? So you would
Yeah.
meet at a lobby at a bank, and if you're giving him cash, you're basically going to take the Bitcoin. but you have to kind of know what you're doing, and you wouldn't have them put the Bitcoin right onto your cell phone, because then you're in danger of walking out and someone stealing your cell phone. And again, these are very extreme cases, and
Mhm.
probably not the cases, in a major metropolitan area of a big city. But
Right.
the safest way to do it is bring a piece of paper, and then have them send it to a piece of paper, because then guess what? They can't get it back. And you don't even have to tell them it's for you. You're like, yeah, I'm buying Bitcoin on behalf of my boss, or I'm buying Bitcoin on behalf of a friend, and it
Right.
goes to the paper, and then you use the internet to check, did it actually get confirmed? If you're
Yeah.
taking cash, the bank is perfect, because then you sell in Bitcoin, you grab the cash, and then you go and you stand online, and then you deposit, $100 of it into the bank. I mean, the person doesn't know. He's going to assume you just deposited all of it. So then you're
Yeah.
not really in danger. You're going to walk out, and you don't have to worry about someone attacking you afterwards, because they just saw you put at least some cash into the bank, right? Um,
Hmm.
but that's why I tell people, join the community. Look, I know everyone's busy. Try to find a meetup in your area. Meet people. There's always people at these meetups that have to pay their bills, and they're Bitcoiners, and they work for Bitcoin. Also,
Wow.
see if there is a skill you can utilize and try to get paid in Bitcoin. Um, I mean, you owning Bitcoin is just slowly, it'll take Bitcoin out of circulation, so it'll help the price go up a little. But what will help the price go up a lot and make your investment really worthwhile is if you help in moving the circular economy. Try to do something and get rewarded for it in Bitcoin, and then try to pay someone in Bitcoin. The more Bitcoin, the more velocity of money there is in Bitcoin, the better it is for everyone, and it creates this slow trajectory upwards with occasional, unreasonable up and down swings due to speculative trading.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And Bitcoin meetups are the best way to find out. Is there a website where people can go to find out where the local meetups are?
Most of them are on meetup.com. You just got to go to
Oh,
meetup.com, type in Bitcoin in your area. I mean, a lot of them are getting big. I mean, the ones in New York are pretty big. A lot of the big metropolitan areas have Bitcoin centers or Bitcoin embassies. Um, so they're good. The one in Miami is pretty big. I'll be there next week. I'm speaking at the Miami Hackathon. They're flying down the guys from BitDevs in New York, which is one of the great meetups. They're flying down to Miami this upcoming Thursday. Then the hackathon is the day after. There's good meetups in a lot of these major metropolitan areas. And it's very funny, actually. Like, I'm in New York. I barely ever go. I don't go to any like local weekly Bitcoin events anymore.
yeah,
I did back when there was a Bitcoin Center on Wall Street, the big one that's in all the movies and back in
yeah,
the old documentaries, but it's been closed down. They moved it further uptown. I was in there all the time because my Wall Street job was like right down the block. So I
right.
literally, like, a 5 minute walk, and I'm at the center. So I was there for all of the events. Now that I work from home, or I don't even work, I just do content. Uh, I never ever go into the city to go to these events, and I'm a New Yorker. And then when people come and visit New York from other cities, other countries, they just want to go to all these Bitcoin events, and they're like, "Oh, you go to these, right?" I'm like, "No, I'm a New Yorker." Like, I'll struggle to find the Empire State Building. If you're like a local in a big city, like, you don't realize that a lot of tourists know more than you about the touristy stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. That is absolutely true. Yeah, man. So, I mean, it is the best way to go about doing it. So, meetup.com, no matter where you are, chances are, even if you're in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, if you're in Talladega, you can probably find a Bitcoin meetup near you. Ain't that right, Tone?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, man. So, with that being said, so what do you think the outlook is for the next couple of months with Bitcoin as well as the stock market, man?
All right.
Because
So,
before we get to the stock market thing, I just want to say that Goldman Sachs, or Goldman Sucks, as I would like to call them, they just put out their 2017 is going to be extremely volatile for stocks. I think we're heading towards the moon, but go ahead now.
I agree. I can see a little pullback here in the beginning,
Yeah.
just a little bit, right? I
Yeah.
can see 5 to 10% fall, maybe down to 2,000 on the S&P at the most.
Right.
And after that, I think the future is bright, not only for this year coming up, but for the year after, and maybe, the entire Trump presidency. I am fairly bullish on stocks. Now, I am bearish on the bond market. I think
Yes.
that one is in major trouble, and one is going to fuel the other. This 35-year bull market in bonds is coming to an end, and there is 10 times more money in bonds than there is in stocks.
Right. Right.
So let's assume this is why I'm looking for a 2 to 3 time doubling of stocks. Because look, you have 10 times more money in bonds. If bonds begin to implode, a lot of that value will just disappear, just like in real estate, right? Like a lot of the real estate value just disappeared. Um,
Yeah.
so let's say half of that money is just gone, vaporized, right?
Mhm.
You're still left with the other half that's going to move. It's going to move out of the bonds, and the money has to go somewhere. No one holds cash, and you wouldn't even be able to hold cash, right?
Right.
So where is it going to go? It has to go into bonds. Some of it will go into gold, some of it will go into precious metals, but precious metals don't pay dividends. They don't pay returns, which is
No. Yeah.
why no one's really holding them. I mean, this is important. So I think a
Yeah.
lot of that money is going to go to stocks, and I think Bitcoin will be a minor beneficiary of this, but the elimination of cash is the best beneficiary of it. Euro problems in the euro, instability with the euro currency, it's already almost at parity. I'm expecting it to go below parity,
Mhm.
and instability of the euro is going to send a lot of the capital from euro into America. And if American bonds are not doing too well, again, that's more money that's going to go into the stock market, into the US
Yep.
stock market. Because a lot of these companies, and it's mostly the tech sector, they're international companies. I mean, is Netflix or Amazon? I mean, Amazon is now starting to deliver globally. Is Amazon really going to suffer all that much if the
No.
US economy turns down a little bit? They're a global company. Yes, they're US registered, but they're a global company.
Right.
And
Exactly.
sooner or later, Google's going to start driving all of our cars. And
No, I don't want that.
I do want that, man.
Nah, man, I'm a gearhead. I can't do that. I look at self-driving. Look, Tone. When they started getting rid of manual transmissions, I was cringing inside, Tone. I was cringing. A small part of me is dying. I'm trying to hunt. I've made a decision. I'm not going to drive any car newer than 2014 because it seems to be the cutoff for all analog cars. Analog, especially me, I love sports cars. So these older sports cars have that feel, they have that feedback, the passion. This whole, like driving iPads, like the Teslas. Dude, I just can't do it. Now the self-driving cars coming out from Google, this, that, and the other. Apple, you had Faraday Future release their FF91. I'm cringing inside, Tone, because I just know this is the way it's gonna go. They're gonna kill the. They're gonna kill the performance enthusiast market.
You'll have a try. I've owned one sports car in my life.
What you got? What you drive?
I had a WRX from
The Dub Rex. I love the WRX, man. What year?
I had the '04 WRX. I had it
The
since I had it
the
between
bug eye.
the summer of '03 and the winter of '08
Well, the
until
STI is
I
still nice.
until I got into a big car accident up in the mountains.
Oh, jeez.
You don't drive it like they do in the commercials.
No, don't try to be a rally. Don't try to be Peter Solberg over there.
In reality, it doesn't end well. But
No, it doesn't. I learned my lesson from trying to be like Michael Schumacher, so it's okay. But
yeah,
go ahead. So yeah, you're saying.
yeah, my problem, I don't have a problem with Google driving my car. I have a problem with Google sending that data to the government for tax
Yes.
revenue. Right.
Right.
Again, that's my problem. I don't have a problem with I don't have a problem with Facebook knowing what I do. My problem is that they're not encrypting my data. They're not giving me privacy. I will even be okay with them sharing it to advertisers. But there has to be like privacy from the government. It's privacy from the government that I care about more than privacy from the private sector. The more Google knows about me, the easier they can make my life. But at the same time, if they're sharing this data to the government will make my life harder. So we don't really need a Google replacement. We just need, a separation of, like we have the separation of church and state. We need the separation of tech and state.
Yes.
That's what we need. We don't need to replace Google. We just need to stop them from sending everything to the government.
Absolutely correct, man. I agree with you. The separation of tech is, look, guys. I mean, the internet is not going anywhere. The internet is more than just. I say it all the time. It's more than just emails. It's more than just the quote unquote information superhighway. The internet's life itself. And when you have a government that's so snooping around and so intrusive in the internet, it's intrusive into your life, and it's got to stop. And Tone, that is a great axiom. I can put that on T-shirts, man. The separation of tech and state. I love it, Tone. I love it, dude. That we should launch a new website of something to do with cryptocurrencies and future technology, and talk about. And the slogan should be the separation of tech and state. It's brilliant, Tone. Brilliant.
If I was only motivated to actually put all of my ideas to fruition, I just started my economic blog. I mean, I've been meaning to do interviews with people, and I don't know, it's just such a commitment that I've been having like major commitment problems in the last year to 3 years. It's hard. Like you have all these ideas, and you're like, man, am I really going to do it? And right now, like the best ideas are. If you're going to be a revolutionary in the crypto space, you got to do it anonymously. You can't. This is what I tell people. Look, I know Zcash isn't going anywhere. I know Ethereum isn't going anywhere. A lot of these projects aren't going nowhere because these people are using their fame to profit. And it doesn't work that way in the crypto space. The profitable companies in Bitcoin, you don't know who runs them. It's the drug market websites. It's the gambling websites. It's crypto locker that will, ransom you for your computer. They're the ones that, again, Satoshi knew this. That's why he was invisible. Meanwhile, Vitalik wants to be, rich and famous, and he's going to pay for it because he created an illegal security. And everyone knows he did it. And sooner or later, it's going to bite him. Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't be using your fame to promote an insane product and then be rewarded for it. The universe doesn't work that way. You do one or the other, like what happened with Coinbase, right? You can either get your Bitcoin conveniently and cheaply, but you will pay for it if the IRS gives you a call.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and that's the whole thing. That's why I think it's best getting paper wallets at this point, right?
Yeah, paper. I mean, I know your phone wallet is good. I mean, as long as you don't provide anything. I don't even provide them my email. I don't even want my anonymous encrypted email to be associated with any Bitcoin activity. Even that's like has a trail, right? You just put an app on your phone that doesn't have not even an email assigned to it, and then you just use it, and that's it. I lose you guys there for a minute.
I'm back. V, you back yet?
Yep, you guys are back.
Okay. Looks like V's back. We can't hear you yet, V, but we see you. Looks like the servers crashed for a moment with the Hangout. So
that's all right. It's probably a good time to wrap up.
All right, we're at the end of I'm back, and we're at the end of the program.
Awesome.
Tone, give out your contact info, man. Give out your contact
info. Sounds good. I guess my contact, the best way to, see what I do is through Twitter. I'm at Vays on Twitter. And my blog is called libertylifetrail.com. And my YouTube podcast, you just have to Google my name on YouTube, Tone Vays. It doesn't have a name. And I talk about, trading and economics across all markets. I talk about equities and currencies and commodities and bonds and Bitcoin, of course. And these are live, so people log on, and I do a Q&A at the end. I really wanted these to be like 20-minute sessions. They were turning into like 30, 35, and then people always have questions at the end. So I try not to make them more than an hour. I know it's probably too long anyway, but twice a week, I try to do it twice a week. And we talk about trading in all markets, and I show my positions in these markets right there on the chart. So check that out. Tone Vays on YouTube.
Awesome. Once again, folks, you can follow us on roguemoney.net, at the Rogue Money on Twitter, the Rogue Money Facebook, and if you have your Apple iPhone, if you go to the news app on your iPhone, you hit the news tab, type in Rogue Money, boom, we are there. We're practically, I think, the only alt media site on Apple News. And also, we're going to be Google News certified as well. Get the podcast. Go to, again, if you have an iOS device, go to the podcasting app, type in Rogue Money, we're there. If you have an Android device, go to Pocket Cast, type in Rogue Money, we're there as well. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're only a few months old, and so far, CJ, to date, I just looked at this, the specs, so to speak, the numbers. In the last 28 days, 3.5 million minutes were spent on this channel, bro.
That's
People
awesome,
coming in
man.
and listening.
That's
is tremendous,
awesome.
Man.
Yeah,
very
congrats, congrats, guys. Sounds very good.
Thank you. And it's interviews like this that we have with Tone that make it all the more special. So once again, guys, thank you all for listening in. Tone, dude, it's so much fun having you on. And you're in New York, right?
I am.
Dude, we need to meet up for lunch. Come on.
Oh, I didn't know you guys were in New York.
Oh, dude, I'm in New York. CJ lives in the Arctic. He lives in a place called it's a faraway country called Indiana. He's out there, but I'm in New York.
It's debatable if I'm New York. I'm in Staten Island.
Hey, okay, that's not technically Jersey, but okay. It's all good. I'll email you my cell phone number. We'll link up, man.
Sounds good. Looking forward.
Don't have a great one, bro. Enjoy your weekend.
I'll be on again anytime, guys. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely, always a pleasure. So much fun. All right, CJ, we're over and we're out.